and welcome to Creative Breathings. This is Sandra Martin. Today I wanted to share a journal that I just completed, and this journal was something that I originally hadn't intended to make, but it just sort of evolved while I was working through another craft process. But this one turned out pretty special, and I'm actually going to give it to a friend of mine who is helping her daughter. Her daughter had a stroke a couple months ago, and so she's been trying to help her daughter out. And so as you'll see through the process of me showing you this journal, it sort of wasn't clear at first who I was supposed to give this to, but then as I looked at the book pages and the things that went into this journal, I realized that this was meant for someone, a good friend of mine, and also someone who is an apartment manager where I live. And I just wanted to give her something to kind of help or encourage her. So before I begin, I'll just show you the craft that I was working on. I'll just move this aside for a moment, and I'll show you the technique I was using to start with. This is just a cereal box folder I'm using at the moment. Just I'm actually preparing to pack up some things, and so I'm just sort of shuffling papers together as I pack, and this is just my temporary folder. But I was doing a technique which if you're in the journaling community or a paper crafter, you might be familiar with, and that is creating Franken paper. And this piece right here has actually been glazed with a raw umber acrylic paint. But what it is just basically you glue sheets of book pages together or scrap papers that you might have in your stash. And then some people also go in and stitch them with their sewing machine. I don't currently own a sewing machine, but when I move to my next destination, I plan on purchasing one. My husband and I travel nomadically, and so we just don't always, I don't carry my whole studio with me, but you'd be surprised what I end up bringing. So some people use the technique of lightly tacking down the papers, and then they might run it through their sewing machine, and they might do a simple stitch or stitch around some of the pieces. This is another one that I did. I did several of these when I came across the technique, because I was looking for ways to use up some of my scraps and you know, kind of bust through the stash. So Franken paper is a natural choice for that. But I use glue for everything that I did for this. So it's basically either tacky glue or Mod Podge in some places, especially for like the tissue paper or napkins. I use that to put my papers together. This is the other side, which is a little bit more plainer, but you can see how I incorporated book pages as well as some little experiments I did with my ink pad. So that's basically what I used for the base of this. And I'm going to go ahead and show you the journal now. There's a few other little experiments in there as well. So to start with, I did use a very simple closure for this because I don't have a lot of supplies with me at the moment. I'm a nomad, so I don't always have like a full studio worth of supplies. I still tend to carry quite a bit with me where I go, but at this time the only thing I had available was a bag full of different fibers and things. And this ended up being what I used is I tied this to the outside of the closure, or the outside of the spine I should say, and it's just simply something that can be tied up or perhaps wrapped around and kind of tucked, you know, tuck it together like that. But I like the wispy feel of it. I know that this kind of crochet yarn or fiber was popular a few years ago, but I just think it has a kind of a spring-like feel to it, and it reminds me of like feathers and birds, and of course this whole journal has a very much of a spring-like feel. So let me let's look at the cover together. As I said before, this is the base of pretty much all of these papers that I used in my journal are the Franken paper that I showed you earlier. So they were just simple book pages glued together. Now that actually creates a pretty flimsy surface in a way if you're talking about making a cover for a book, but and at first I had no idea what this project was actually, what I was actually doing. I was just gluing things down. But then I realized, like, at first I was like, oh, this would make a cool, like, greeting card cover or something. But then as I kept working with it, I realized I was creating a cover for a soft journal, or soft cover journal. So I ended up attaching more stickers and embellishments. I even put a C. The friend this is going to is named Kathy, and this was just a Dollar Tree sticker, and it says C, and it says caring and cherished on it. And I also added some pencil drawings in the background, which I then went over with Mod Podge to seal it in place, so this doesn't rub off at all. And I gave this both sides of this a nice generous coating of Mod Podge. On the back here you can see I added some more stickers, and then some little photo corner type stickers, and then I also added this pretty napkin from my stash, and I have several of these from who knows when. But anyway, it was nice to use up things that you kind of hoard and you want to, you know, some things you see as special, and I liked putting that love and care into this journal. So this is a spine, and I used like a sticker and kind of decorated the spine, and then I sort of distressed different areas of this with just all sorts of techniques. There's a little bit of gold paint, there's some colored pencil, but all of that's been sealed within the Mod Podge. Again, I didn't have any distress inks with me either, so I just distress in other ways. Let's go ahead and look inside. So here is the inside, and you can still see portions of the book pages. And what I liked about this book that I had used, it was a memoir of a young girl. Well, it's about a lady's experience when in her childhood. Okay. So this is the inside. You can still see pieces of the book pages showing through. The book pages that I used were from a memoir of a lady who was talking about her childhood, and she had these little handwritten notes and poems and things that she actually wrote as a child, and so I liked having those peek out in this image. And then I added more stickers, washi, all sorts of things. I made a pocket with this really pretty image off of a greeting card, and then if you look closely you'll see the words "Be Still," and that was from some stickers that I had on hand. But it's really subtle, but I like the fact that if she's looking at this, she'll see that. So this is just a vintage greeting card. It even has its own distressed edges, which are that's the way it came because it's very old. This is a little wing die cut that I had, and that's just sort of a tag to of who the gift is to and from. And then I did use a little bit of scrapbook paper too, more in like neutral colors. So here's a piece of scrapbook paper. And then I used this image from an Edith Holden book. And this is actually from the month of April, which is when I created this. This is a little tuck spot that I created. I made these little scrappy collage pieces in another session. Because I've been also making my own collage fodder as part of the 100-day project. So it was nice to be able to use up some of these images because they were ready-made. And then here I tucked a little note for her. I gave her some pretty butterfly notes throughout. Here's a little ticket. This was another little collage piece I made when I made some tags and things. This is sort of like a decoupaged, scrappy little tag here. And then it says heart and soul. So I tucked that in there. This pocket was made from a greeting card. There's half here, and you'll also see half here. So I just cut that, not quite in half actually, but I used it to create two pockets. And then some more little tags that I made. And this one says live in the moment. there you can see the book pages pretty clearly. I added a little die cut. This is just some decoration at the bottom along with some vellum stickers. And I ended up cutting the pages because just the way this journal fit in here, I just preferred to have it that way. And as you can see, the book pages can be fairly fragile, and they were already starting to kind of tear on the sides, so I added some washi tape. But I like this washi tape because it's kind of an older washi that I had, but it says "You're capable and amazing," and it's just sort of another layer of encouragement. So I gave her some notebook paper. I made this little scripture card for her, and then there's another scripture here for her. Another little tag. This one's real simple, but it just says "Fierce and Fabulous." Another piece of scrap that I made. Says "Very kind-hearted," and that creates the little tuck. This is from some flowers and things that I had drew for one day of the collage fodder experiment. This is the middle. Vellum stickers, some little cutout embellishments. This was a pocket type book that I made out of wallpaper, and this was from several years ago. I watched, I think it was on Creative Bug or one of those kind of craft type tutorials, and the lady showed how to make this kind of ephemera holder. And so there's pocket here, here, and here, and this is all just done with folding, so everything kind of tucks into place, as you can see. See, that tucks into there. You can also put things on the side if you want. So for this, for the signature itself, I just used some black thread, and I hand sewed a pamphlet stitch because, again, I don't have a sewing machine at this point. Here's this page with the vellum sticker, some more washi, some more embellishment here. This isn't actually tuck spot, but it could be. Some more of the die cut, but I added sort of a glazing to it. I added a sheet of scrapbook paper that looks like ledger with some more little butterfly note paper she can use. And then there's the back of the signature, which again is that piece of scrapbook paper. Another die cut with a little bit of glazing on it, kind of a portrait pink and buff titanium, I believe. Some little stamps and tickets, butterfly. This is a little tag, and I added the words "She dreamed beautiful dreams." When I created this, I was really influenced by even some of the words on here. Like, this was a poem about birds, and there was a lot of, in the memoir that I used for the book pages, there was a lot of emphasis on birds and things, and so it felt very spring-like just from the get-go. So throughout you'll see a lot of the birds and butterflies. And then to reinforce this side of the book pages, as you see now, it's pretty thick compared to like the pages. I added some thicker cardstock, type printed cardstock, and just sort of made a patchwork on the back, because again, this was very intuitive. I didn't really have a plan, so it wasn't as if I decided perhaps even like using some packaging or something to make some type of cover or spine. This was all just me like winging it basically. So this gave it some stability. As you can see, there's some stability here. But yeah, that's basically the journal. And then what I did, I made this so it can slide in and out of the cover in case she wants to add something different. It's just sort of, I wrapped this fiber around several times just to create a little holder. So this is just loosely held together, and again, she can use it if she wants to add another little notebook in there or whatever she'd like to do, or she can leave it as is. And then so another option, I don't know if I made this quite long enough, but you could just like tuck it like that as well, and that would just stay on. So I'm happy to have created this project for her, and just I loved how it just happened intuitively, and just sort of grew out of just experimenting and having fun, just doing something simple. You know, I didn't want to do anything major. I just wanted to relax, and I put on some videos and made this paper, and then I just started playing around with even how to distress it. So this could easily also, this kind of paper you can easily tea dye or coffee dye, but I didn't even do that. I just used some paint and sort of created my own distress look. So so I'm really pleased with it, and I think she'll like it. And the reason that when I was making this back cover, I realized there was a lot of mention of Kathy, and that was a girl that was mentioned in her memoir. So when I saw that, it's like, that's what made me start thinking like, oh, I should make this journal for her. Because originally the first thing I made, of course, was the outside, but I did keep adding to it as I went along. But then I started putting all these pages together, and that's how it sort of developed from there. So so I hope you like this, and maybe just giving you some ideas. And maybe if you just want something with a softer cover, I do recommend something like this is nice, because the Mod Podge creates almost like that leather-like feel to it, and of course it's somewhat waterproof. So that's just a really simple way if you want to create a soft cover for a journal and you don't want a lot of fuss. I did fold everything. Oh, I did want to mention, at first this was more like a folded card, but then when I realized it was turning into a book, I did add some packaging on the inside to create a spine. So as you can see, it's pretty stiff there. And then I sort of shaped it as it was still kind of wet. I shaped the edges to create more of that book shape. So if you like this video, go ahead and give it a like and subscribe. I'll be releasing more videos, more flip throughs and tutorials and journaling type videos, as well as some mixed media. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Okay, bye.